Hello and welcome as it is the date of Thursday, the 13th of June 2019. My name is Derek and welcome to the Money Charts channel where all bets, trades, and love the like. That's within each's own risk, their own reward. For myself, risk reward management, always job number one. And before getting into the cryptos, let's take a look at the gold market, which yesterday had an up day of a half a percent, today up 0.2. Yeah, half a percent looks like that. Yep. That's what it is. This big green candle. Well, this one was 1.3, the following 1.5. Regardless of the fact, getting above this resistance line and now coming back down to it as support and starting to lift off from it. So lift off possible support from that level, and that's a very very interesting long term level as it represents the Fibonacci from the high and the low, and all of these hits. Just a beautiful setup. This thing is like ready to go. It was ready to go back in here. It didn't happen. It was ready to go back in here. Even a little bit here, but even more so because given how it came up here at the start of the year, January, February, how March, April pulled back as it is and leaving, well, the way it is in June, I wouldn't be surprised if it's ready for a big move. Within Bitcoin on the daily time frame, the one thing I've been talking about the last few days is this scenario where we're resisting this area of the 18, are we holding and staying above the 18 average of lows? And right now, well, before it was resisting, right now it's holding and staying above. It's still got to get above this little area in here, 83, 8400, but doing so, holding and staying above this for a decent amount of time, sets up most certainly magnificent situations. The line in here, the 7500, that's just the area of where the volume weighted average price is from the 2017 highs. We can see that this level of resistance in here, I'll move this line up. That's where we've been supporting the last 3-4 periods after resisting it on a bunch of other ones, and amongst the single hour term time frame, seeing it even a little bit more clearly in here. So it made the statement to get above. It's held and stated so far. So right now, it's definitely looking progressive on the short term. That just maybe it may in fact be able to get above it. At least if we look at this 18 average, it is that of a flat one. Price action, of course, not resisting this a long time ago and just holding in there well above, higher than where I was hoping. The 18 average is declining, so even at least if it can hold and stay above the high 77s, low 78, that will be enough to at least flatten the band out from its barely declining facet. And that is the BTC. For Litecoin, its price is continuing to hang in there for above this key Fibonacci of 126 as it last left above the 18 average convincingly on June the 10th. It made the statement on June the 7th that it was ready to make that move given how it got above the 18 average of highs. And I guess you could say the statement is, yeah, it's just holding in there from a good leg higher at this point. And the long-term time frame, of course, has been nothing more than a tremendous uprun. It's just a little overextended, but not really. I mean, it's overextended because it's had such a good gain, and it's so far from this level. It's only it hasn't had any monstrous, really big moves either. As you have this like nice little grind, you build an uptrend line, which it kind of has. That it could most certainly in these bull market conditions continue these nice little movements. And oftentimes, when you're in the bull markets like this, they can happen aggressively, they can happen fast. And anyone trying to short the market right now, the buyers, of course, are in complete control of this market. We're on the shorter term within the 4 hour going through a correctionary phase right now. And as long as it stays in the middle of the 18 average, move from this little area here is so far so good. It is correcting. It's came back to where it came from, all that kind of stuff. And then you look for the key things, getting out above here and below there, and so on and so forth. Let's now move on to NEO against Bitcoin, which on the monthly term time frame is doing all that. On the weekly chart, we have managed to see how from this move price action is resisting this area of support, and it's been in there for a few days and just really doing looks like not too much, but when we look at this from the daily chart and shorter, things are looking really, really spectacular here. As we have obviously the move from point high all the way to point low, but since then resistance in here, and then this beautiful movement within the 18. It comes back again from May 29th through the June the 1st, second area to this level of resistance. But all of this correcting that it has done in there has been spectacular, and a statement made today that it's ready for a spectacular gain, it looks like, as it has managed to get above this 18 average of highs. It's now in this little area in here, and it's not uncommon for this to break and just go really nicely. I'd be looking for a move up, probably looking just quickly right now, but just this area where it came from, I'd have to think at least for the possibility. Looking even further, well, right now it's already came to this area where it came from in here, the December 12th, December 5th, the December lows. And now we're going to be looking for the March lows and the highs here from January as its level of resistance. And that's like a key one, just about a 61.8% move here as well. And then you got the previous high area. And if you are able to get action into this previous high area, and you would say, well, what does that mean on something like the weekly chart, which, as we were showing before, well, it's just coming up to that point. Well, that would be an attempt in reverting this trend on this front end here, because as we can see just within this little spot here, green candle up after these two in here, just sideways, stopping the down move is what those two were. But green candle up, and how these sideways too. The low, of course, just, well, we could obviously see it better on the daily and the 4 hour, but yeah, this to me looks pretty good. Switching over to Bitcoin Cash against the Bitcoin. And this interesting area here of this like 1 2 day support has been about 74 days of resistance. No, but realistically about 6 or 7. It's been grinding its way lower, but as it's been doing so, it's still been holding the 18 average of lows, now just microscopically declining and still holding this level of support, and still have yet to test this 2x support area around the 44.77 mark, which was done so on April the 29th and again on May the 10th. And it's breaking down below the support. Okay, probably a quick move down to here. Now breaking it above here, back to this area which we've tested so much at the 52.5, and breaking above the 52.5, just like I showed with gold, how far it could go breaking its resistance. The last chart on the Neo, what it could do, pretty much the same sort of candidate here in that situation if it is to arrive back up there. And I'm going to finish this off within Ripple. Really nothing too much exciting going on here, as it's just still in the sideways consolidation from this last tiny little rally from a much bigger decline. And at the bottom end of this recent area level in here, I was noticing that, okay, for me, like for example, if you're on Binance or on Bittrex or wherever and you want to withdraw it, they have like the destination tag and a memo, or that like they have an extra little fund. And I noticed that on the Atomic Wallet that they only gave you the address, and one person mentioned you probably don't even need to send a memo to that address. So I tried it. Sure enough, I didn't. So it went in that wallet. But what's interesting, and I'm sure this is like this with all the other wallets, that when you put your Ripple on the Atomic, or whatever else, I guess, that you must always keep 20 on your balance. You cannot withdraw all of them. You gotta. So if I put 30 of them in there, which is pretty much what I did, I noticed I had like 28. I can only withdraw like 8. I'm thinking, okay, well, and I heard some about that before. So I deposited a bit more, like another 30 more. So I had like 58, and I was allowed to withdraw 38, which I did. And it didn't take long to send to Binance. It only took like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 3 or 4 minutes to send to Binance before it was available to trade. So I decided, okay, let's buy a bunch more and trade Ripple against Theta. And I spent a half hour yesterday talking about Theta and the trade, that situation, and so much more details that if you're interested, you can take a look at that, as that is on the channel. And I'll finish this off within the Bitcoin dominance chart, which again, not showing the large moves, just hanging in there within the 18 average on this little support level. We did resist in here. And I wouldn't be, it looks to me like an altcoin rally, at least short term one, seems as poised to happen. And this is saying the same sort of deal as it's now standing within this 18 average of lows. And it's had a lot of testing within this area that I wouldn't be surprised if it does have this move, and maybe it pierces below, comes down to the 55, high 55 area, based on these numbers, of course. But as far as move concerned, 57, lose a couple percentage points. Or two on 57, that would be like 4% down, whatever, but go two basis numbers lower is the type of move I would be expecting. Again, what happens, happens, and I'm just going to be letting my trades come into play and then react to the price action as it is, because only price pays. You can think something's worth this or it's going to be worth that in time, and well, maybe you're going to be right, but that's always going to be in time. And thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.